Imagine crawling through a tea room door so low it forces your head to the ground, your armour clanking awkwardly as you, a battle-scarred samurai, squeeze into a space barely wider than a coffin. It's 1580, Sengoku, Japan, and the air hums with matcha's grassy tang mingling with the faint sweat of nervous guests. The tea master, serene as a monk, watches you fumble, his eyes glinting with knowing calm. Every move here is a test. The tiny room, barely 6 feet square, strips away your warrior's pride. Even warlords bow to the tea's quiet power. Straw mats prick your knees, and the kettle's hiss sounds like a whispered command. They say this ritual tames the soul, but one wrong gesture could spark a warlord's rage. Congrats, you're meditating with a death sentence. The bizarre truth? This cramped, fragrant cage was designed to humble the mightiest, making samurai kneel like peasants before a cup. Picture it. A room so small it chokes your ego, yet somehow holds the weight of a nation's wars. Like, share, tell us. Could you survive this tea room's mind game? In 1587, Sen no Rikyu stands in a Kyoto tea room, his hands steady as he scoops matcha with a bamboo spoon, each motion a silent poem. You're there, watching, your heart pounding. Every flick of his wrist feels like a samurai's sword stroke, precise and deadly. The room's silence is suffocating, broken only by the kettle's low hum and the warlord Hideyoshi's impatient stare. Rikyu's ritual is Zen perfection, but one slip could mean his head. Tea masters don't just serve tea, they dance with death. The green powder swirls in the bowl, its scent sharp as a forest after rain. Yet rumours whisper it holds mystic powers, calming souls or masking poison. Sarcasm aside, mastering a tea scoop in this era was like acing a life-or-death exam. Rikyu's calm masks the stakes. This ceremony could seal an alliance or spark a feud. The bizarre kicker? A man could die for stirring tea wrong, yet they called it art. Imagine perfecting a spoon flip while your life's on the line. Sound like your kind of party? Share your creepiest tea fact below. You're kneeling in a 1580s Kyoto village, clutching a chipped bowl of matcha, its bitter steam curling like a spirit in the dim light. Peasants whisper that this tea, brewed by a master's hand, can soothe a fractured soul, cure heartbreak, banish dread, maybe even quiet the ghosts of war. The taste is sharp, grassy, coating your tongue like damp earth. But does it heal, or is it just a cruel hope? In Sengoku, Japan, tea masters like Sen no Rikyu were half priest, half alchemist, their brews rumoured to carry Zen's magic. A widow sips nearby, her eyes desperate for peace. A merchant swears his fever broke after one cup. The bizarre truth hits hard. People bet their souls on this green sludge, praying it's more than a placebo. Some say the tea's power lies in ritual, others hint at secret herbs, or poison slipped by a vengeful hand. Imagine chugging a medieval energy drink, hoping it saves your spirit while a samurai glares. Drop a comment. Would you trust this tea's magic? It's 1591, and Sen no Rikyu kneels in a Sakai tea room, his final ceremony unfolding under Toyotomi Hideyoshi's cold gaze. The matcha swirls in the bowl, its green haze rising like a ghost, but the air reeks of betrayal. Hideyoshi's ordered Rikyu's death for some whispered slight. You're there, heart hammering, watching Rikyu's steady hands pour tea as if it's just another day, not his last. The kettle hisses, the room's straw mats scratch your knees, and every sip feels like a gamble, poison or perfection. In Sengoku, Japan, tea masters wielded power that could topple alliances, and Rikyu's precision made him a threat. The bizarre horror? One wrong ceremony could end in seppuku, a blade to the gut as punishment for a shaky paw. Dark humour laces the scene. Imagine dying because your tea game wasn't Instagram-worthy. Rikyu sips, calm as a monk, knowing this cup seals his fate. Share your thoughts. Could you pour tea with a warlord's sword at your neck? You're a samurai in 1580s Osaka. Your calloused hands, used to gripping swords, now fumbling with a delicate bamboo tea scoop under the tea master's piercing stare. The tea room's air is thick with matcha's sharp, grassy scent, and your armour feels absurdly heavy as you kneel on the straw mats, trying to mimic the master's fluid grace. In Sengoku, Japan, warriors like you are sent to tea school to learn the tea ceremony, a bizarre crash course in humility for men who'd rather behead than bow. One clumsy move, a spilled drop, a shaky pour, and you're the laughing stock of the dojo, or worse, you've insulted a warlord. The master's voice is calm, but his words sting. Precision or perish. The tea bowl's heat sears your palms, a reminder that this ritual is as deadly as any battlefield. Picture it. A samurai sweating over a teacup like it's a medieval mindfulness boot camp gone wrong. Sarcasm aside, mastering tea was a badge of honour, or a ticket to exile. Drop a comment. Could you nail this tea ceremony under samurai scrutiny? Step into a bustling 1570s Kyoto market, where the air chokes with dust and the sharp tang of ground tea leaves. Merchants hawk matcha like it's gold, shouting claims of soul-cleansing blends blessed by monks, their stalls piled with jars that glint in the sun. In Sengoku, Japan, tea wasn't just a drink. It was a status symbol, a spiritual fix, and a merchant's ticket to riches. You haggle for a tiny pouch, your coin's barely enough, while the seller spins tales of tea that calms samurai or cures a broken heart. The bizarre catch: some of these holy blends were just roadside weeds, repackaged for desperate buyers. One merchant, bolder than most, swears his tea came from Sen no Rikyu's own stash. Yeah, right, and your horse is a shogun. The market hums with greed and hope, each sale a gamble between faith and fraud. Imagine shelling out your last coin for a medieval scam smoothie. Share your wildest market hustle story below. You're crouched in a crumbling castle in 1582 Sengoku, Japan, the distant roar of cannons shaking the walls as you sip matcha in a flickering tea room. The tea master, unfazed, pours with eerie calm, his hand steadied despite the chaos outside. Siege or not, the ceremony goes on. The air is thick with smoke and the grassy bite of tea, each sip a defiant act against the war raging beyond the paper screens. In this era, tea ceremonies were held even as armies clashed, a bizarre oasis of zen amidst blood and fire. The kettle's hiss feels like a taunt, daring the battle to interrupt. One wrong move, a trembling hand, a spilled drop, could signal weakness to the warlord watching. Imagine meditating with a teacup while arrows whistle past. It's like hosting a yoga class in a war zone. The dark humour? This ritual might be your last act of peace, or just a fancy way to die. Share your thoughts. Could you sip tea with a siege at the door? You're in a 1580s Kyoto tea room, stirring matcha with a bamboo whisk, each swirl a hypnotic dance that pulls you deeper into opulence. The tea master's voice is a low hum, guiding your hand. One stir, one breath, one moment. The bowl's warmth seeps into your fingers, but the air feels heavy, as if the room itself is holding its breath. In Sengoku, Japan, every tea ceremony was a zen ritual, where a single misstep, a clumsy whisk, a rushed pour could feel like a curse. The matcha's green froth swirls like a tiny galaxy, its scent sharp and alive, yet whispers of doom linger. One wrong move, and the warlord's glare could end you. It's bizarre. Stirring tea was both meditation and high-stakes performance art. Picture perfecting a latte swirl while your fate hangs in the balance, like a medieval barista with a death wish. Drop a comment. Could you master this zen or crack under the pressure? In 1580s Kyoto, tea houses hum with secrets, their paper walls hiding whispers that could topple warlords. You're not here for tea, though the matcha's bitter steam stings your nose. You're eavesdropping on samurai plotting in low tones, their words as sharp as their blades. In Sengoku, Japan, these cramped rooms were more than zen retreats. They were hubs of espionage, where a tea master like Sen no Rikyu might overhear a coup or seal an alliance with a single pour. The kettle's soft hiss masks the tension, but one wrong word could spark a bloodbath. Picture it, a tea ceremony doubling as a medieval spy thriller, with every guest a potential traitor. The bizarre truth? A teacup could carry more weight than a treaty, and a careless whisper might cost your head. Sarcasm aside, this is Game of Thrones with better ceramics. Imagine sipping tea while plotting a war. Sound like your kind of party? Drop a comment with your wildest conspiracy tale. You're a peasant in 1570s Japan, heart pounding as you sneak a sip of matcha from a master's unattended bowl, its grassy heat burning your throat like forbidden fire. In Sengoku, Japan, tea was for elites, samurai, lords, not dirt-stained hands like yours, but the rumour of its soul-soothing power was too tempting. The tea house's straw mats prick your feet, and the air feels thick with risk. One caught glance from a samurai, and you're done for. The bizarre kicker? This stolen sip meant to calm your weary soul could land you in chains or worse, a blade to the gut. The matcha's taste is sharp, almost sacred, but it's laced with dread. Is it healing you or cursing you? Imagine chugging a stolen energy drink while dodging medieval cops. Dark humour aside, peasants risked death for a taste of the elite zen. Share your thoughts. Would you dare steal a sip under a samurai's nose? It's 1591, Sakai and Sen no Rikyu kneels in a tea room, his final act unfolding like a grim ceremony, the matcha's green swirl mocking the blood soon to spill. You're there, the air heavy with incense and dread, watching as he prepares tea for Toyotomi Hideyoshi, who's ordered his death for some vague offence. The kettle's hiss is a funeral dirge, and Rikyu's calm hands move with zen precision, pouring as if this cup could save him. In Sengoku Japan, tea masters like him were artists and pawns. Their rituals are dance with death. One misstep, and the blade awaits. The bizarre horror? His seppuku, a self-inflicted gut wound, mirrors the tea's ritual purity, blending art with agony. The room's straw mats soak up the tension, and the matcha's bitter steam feels like a last breath. Imagine staging a perfect tea party, knowing it ends with your own knife. Dark humour. It's the ultimate pour or perish moment. Drop a comment. Could you face a blade with Rikyu's calm? You step into a 1580s Kyoto tea garden, the gravel crunching underfoot, mist curling around stone lanterns like ghostly fingers. This is no ordinary garden. It's a zen sanctuary, designed to quiet the chaos of Sengoku Japan's wars, where tea masters like Sen no Rikyu crafted serenity before their rituals. The air smells of damp moss and matcha, but whispers linger. They say these plants hum with spirits, watching every guest. The bizarre truth? These gardens were sacred stages, where raked patterns and silent blooms prepped samurai for tea's discipline, or haunted them with eerie calm. You trace a path, the pebbles cool against your feet, but a chill hits. Is that rustling just the wind, or something older? Picture a meditation garden doubling as a haunted Airbnb. Sarcasm aside, these spaces were as much about spirits as stillness. Share your thoughts. Would you linger in this garden's eerie hush? You're skulking in a 1570s Osaka alley, heart racing, clutching a stolen pouch of matcha swiped from a tea master's stash. In Sengoku Japan, tea was sacred, reserved for samurai and lords, but you, a desperate peasant, couldn't resist the rumours of its soul-healing power. The powder's grassy scent fills your nose as you brew a forbidden cup, but the air turns heavy. Whispers say stolen tea brings curses, not cures. Tales spread of thieves struck ill after sipping, their dreams haunted by the vengeful spirits or maybe just guilt. The bizarre horror? One taste of this elite brew could leave you fevered, trembling, as if the tea itself knows your crime. The straw-roofed hut creaks around you, and the matcha's heat feels like a warning. Imagine chucking a haunted energy drink that might hex you for life, medieval scam or supernatural smackdown. Dark humour aside, stealing tea was a gamble with more than samurai to fear. Drop a comment. Would you risk the curse for a sip? You're a woman in a 1580s Kyoto tea house, serving matcha with steady hands while samurai and lords scrutinise your every move. In Sengoku Japan, women in Mormon tea rooms were often invisible, yet vital, preparing tea, maintaining grace, all while navigating a world that dismissed them. The air hums with the kettle's hiss and the weight of unspoken rules. One clumsy pour could brand you a failure or worse, spark a warlord's temper. The bizarre truth? Your silent defiance, perfecting rituals in a man's world, was a quiet rebellion, each precise gesture a claim to power. The matcha's green froth swirls under your fingers, its scent sharp as defiance, but the room feels like a cage. Picture serving tea in a medieval shark tank where grace is your only shield. Sarcasm aside, these women turned tea into a weapon of resilience. Share your thoughts. Could you wield a tea scoop under that pressure? You're holding a tea bowl in a 1580s Kyoto tea house. Its rough clay warm in your hands, the matcha's grassy steam curling like a secret. In Sengoku Japan, these bowls weren't just cups, they were treasures, each etched with a hidden mark by its maker, a signature that could make it worth more than your village. The room's dim light glints off the glaze, and you squint to spot the mark, a tiny glyph tucked under the rim, as if whispering its own worth. The bizarre truth? These bowls were traded like gold, coveted by warlords who'd kill for their rustic perfection, yet their makers often died poor. The kettle hums, and the air feels thick with greed. Lose this bowl, and you might lose your head. Imagine clutching a medieval NFT, only it's a cup that could bankrupt a shogun. Dark humour aside, a tea bowl's mark was a maker's ghost, haunting the elite's obsession. Drop a comment. Would you risk your life for this cup's secret? You're kneeling in a Zen temple in 1570s Japan, the air heavy with incense and the faint ash of matcha, as monks perfect the tea ceremony with silent precision. In Sengoku, Japan, temples were the heart of tea's spiritual roots, where monks like those in Daitokuji Monastery turned each sip into a meditation, a step towards an enlightenment. The straw mats prick your knees, and the tea's bitter tang coats your tongue. But something's off. Why does it taste like ash, like a crypt's echo? The bizarre horror. These rituals, meant to calm, sometimes felt haunted, as if the tea carried whispers from the void. The monks' chants hum through the walls, and the bowl's warmth feels alive, maybe too alive. Picture sipping a sacred latte in a room that feels like it's watching you. Sarcasm aside, tea in the temple was less about refreshment and more about wrestling with eternity. Share your thoughts. Could you sip this tea without flinching at its eerie aftertaste? In 1580s Japan, warlords like Toyotomi Hideyoshi hoard tea like dragons guard gold, their castles stuffed with rare matcha jars that cost more than a samurai's armour. You're in a Kyoto tea room, watching a lord flaunt his latest prize, a powdered blend said to rival Senno Rikyu's own. The air's thick with the tea's grassy tang, but the glint in his eyes screams obsession, not zen. In Sengoku, Japan, tea wasn't just a drink. It was a status flex, a bizarre currency of power that could spark feuds or seal alliances. One jar, they say, was traded for a village. Forget gold, hoard leaves. The kettle's steam curls like a taunt, and you wonder, is this tea worth dying for? Picture a warlord flexing his stash like a medieval influencer with a rare sneaker drop. Dark humour aside, this tea craze could bankrupt a shogun or bury a rival. Drop a comment. Would you fight for a pinch of this overpriced dust? You're in a 1580s Sakai tea house, lit only by flickering candles, their glow dancing on the walls as a tea master begins a rare nighttime ceremony. The matcha's scent cuts through the cool night air, sharp and alive, but the silence feels heavy, as if spirits linger among the guests. In Sengoku, Japan, these nocturnal rituals were steeped in mystery, reserved for sacred moments or desperate pleas for peace. The master's hands move like shadows, stirring tea with hypnotic grace, but whispers hint at unseen guests. Ghosts, perhaps, drawn to the kettle's hum. The bizarre chill? This tea could calm a warlord or summon something older, darker. You sip, the bitter warmth grounding you, yet the room feels alive, watching. Imagine a midnight coffee run, but your barista's chanting to spirits. Sarcasm aside, these rituals blurred the line between Zen and the uncanny. Share your thoughts. Could you sip tea with ghosts at the table? You're in a 1580s Kyoto tea house, the air thick with matcha's sharp tang, and the tension of rival warlords seated across straw mats, their swords sheathed but eyes like daggers. The tea master, poised as a monk, paused with deliberate calm, each gesture a silent plea for peace in Sengoku, Japan's endless wars. In this era, tea ceremonies were diplomatic chess games where a single cup could cool tempers or ignite feuds. Tea or war, tough call. The kettle's hiss cuts through the silence, and you sip, tasting the bitter hope of truce, but one wrong move could spark bloodshed. The bizarre truth? A tea master's paw held more sway than a treaty, turning a drink into a political weapon. Imagine hosting a peace talk over coffee, knowing a shaky hand could start World War III. Sarcasm aside, these ceremonies were high-stakes theatre, balancing zen and betrayal. Drop a comment. Could you pour tea to save a truce? You're in a modern Kyoto tea house, 2025, stirring matcha, as the ghost of Senno Rikyu seems to linger in the steam, his 16th century rituals still shaping each deliberate swirl. The bowl's warmth grounds you, its grassy scent a bridge to Sengoku, Japan, where tea masters turned a drink into a philosophy of discipline, beauty and defiance. The bizarre legacy? Rikyu's art, born in war's shadow, still teaches calm in chaos, from samurai to salarymen seeking zen, in a hectic world. The room's silence feels alive, echoing centuries of poured tea, spilled blood, and whispered secrets. You sip, tasting history's weight, every cup a nod to those who risked death for perfection. Picture a 400-year-old mindfulness app still trending. Dark humour aside, tea's enduring power proves humans chase serenity, no matter the cost. Share your thoughts. Does Rikyu's legacy make you want to sip or shudder? You're in a 17th century Edo workshop, the air thick with sawdust and the sharp tang of ink. As you carve a woodblock, your hands slick with blood from a slipped blade. In early Edo Japan, artisans like you believed each cut was a prayer, every groove a plea to the gods for protection or power. The wood's grain resists your knife, but you keep carving, eyes burning, convinced this print of a Shinto deity will guard a village, or curse it. The bizarre truth? These artisans bled for their art, turning splinters into sacred talismans, their hands scarred like battle-worn samurai. The lantern's flicker casts eerie shadows, and the block feels alive, almost whispering back. Picture slaving over a haunted Etsy project where every cut might summon a spirit. Sarcasm aside, this was art as sacrifice, one bloody stroke at a time. Drop a comment. Could you carve through the pain for a holy print? In 1670s Edo, artisans churn out woodblock prints of Shinto gods and Buddhist deities, their inked lines so vivid that peasants swear the images watch them back. You're in a cramped shem holding a fresh print of Amaterasu, her eyes gleaming under lantern light, and you can't shake the chill. Does she see you? In early Edo Japan, these prints were more than art. They were talismans, hung in homes to ward off evil or bring luck, though some whispered they carried curses instead. The bizarre horror. A single sheet of paper could spark devotion or dread, as if the gods themselves lived in the grain. The ink's sharp scent fills the air, and the print's edges feel too alive, too knowing. Imagine buying a poster that might hex your house. Cursed wall art, anyone? Dark humour aside, these prints blurred the line between sacred and spooky. Share your thoughts. Would you hang this print or burn it? You're in a 1680s Edo hovel, staring at a woodblock print of a snarling demon, its eyes seeming to glow in the moonlight filtering through your paper window. In early Edo Japan, rumours swirled that some prints, like this one, were so vivid they stole sleep, leaving owners tossing in sweaty dread. The ink's sharp scent lingers, and you swear the demon's gaze shifts, pinning you to your mat. Folklore warned these images could haunt your dreams. The bizarre horror? A single piece of art could trap you in a sleepless nightmare, as if the paper itself held a grudge. You try to look away, but the print's details, every claw, every fang, feel too real, too alive. Picture hanging a cursed Netflix thumbnail that keeps you up all night. Sarcasm aside, these prints were both treasures and terrors, blurring art and curse. Drop a comment. Would you keep this print or delete it at dawn? In 1690s Edo, officials torched piles of woodblock prints deemed too lifelike, their flames licking the night sky as artisans watched their work burn. These prints, often of gods or courtesans, were so vivid they sparked fear. Some said they could summon spirits or stir unrest. You're in the crowd, smelling charred ink and wood, as a banned print of a ghostly warrior crackles, its eyes seeming to glare through the smoke. In early Edo Japan, too real art was a crime, banned for unsettling the masses or defying censors' rules. The bizarre truth? A piece of paper could be outlawed for looking too alive, as if art itself was a threat. Imagine your Instagram post getting burned for being too pretty. Medieval censorship vibes. Dark humour aside, these prints were destroyed to keep the world safe from their eerie power. Share your thoughts. Would you hide a forbidden print or let it burn? You're in a 1680s Edo workshop, carving a woodblock by the lamplight, your eyes burning as the grain blurs into a haze of gods and demons. In early Edo Japan, artisans like you pushed their vision to the brink, carving until their hands bled and their sight faltered, believing each stroke was a sacred act. The ink's acrid scent stings your nose, and the wood feels alive, whispering as your knife digs deeper. Folklore says the block itself might curse you. The bizarre horror. These artisans went half blind for their art, driven by a fevered obsession to birth prints that could guard or haunt a home. The lantern's flicker dances on the block, and you wonder if the deity you're carving is watching. Picture slaving over a haunted canvas. your eyes betraying you like a glitchy VR headset. Sarcasm aside, this was art as madness, one cut at a time. Drop a comment. Could you carve through the blur for a holy print? In a 1690s Edo village, you hang a woodblock print of a fierce guardian deity on your hut's wall, its inked eyes glaring into the night to fend off evil spirits. In early Edo Japan, these prints were talismans, believed to shield homes from demons or misfortune, though some whispered they invited trouble instead. The paper rustles in the breeze, its colours vivid even in moonlight, and you feel a chill. Is it protecting you or watching you? The bizarre truth? Peasants pinned their hopes on these fragile sheets, trusting art to battle the supernatural, like hanging a poster to scare off ghosts. The ink's sharp scent lingers, and the deity's gaze feels too real, too heavy. Imagine decorating with a cursed sticker, hoping it keeps the boogeyman at bay. Dark humour aside, these prints were both armour and gamble in a superstitious world. Share your thoughts. Would you trust a print to guard your home? You're weaving through a 1690s Edo market, the air thick with ink's sharp bite and the clamour of vendors hawking woodblock prints as if they are sacred relics. In early Edo Japan, these prints, depicting gods, demons or heroes, were sold as spiritual tools, promised to ward off evil or bring luck, though some were just clever scams. You clutch a coin eyeing a print of a dragon deity, its eyes glinting like it knows your secrets. The vendor swears it'll guard your home, but his grin screams hustle. The bizarre truth? These markets turned paper into power, with peasants betting their last coins on prints that might bless or curse them. The crowd's bustle feels alive, almost too alive, as if the prints themselves hum with intent. Picture buying a haunted poster from a medieval Etsy, hoping it's not a rip-off. Sarcasm aside, this was faith meets fraud. One inked sheet at a time. Drop a comment. Would you splurge on a mystic print or smell the scam? You're holding a woodblock print in 1700s Edo, its colours vivid under lantern light, depicting a courtesan from the floating world of urban pleasures, a far cry from the sacred gods of earlier prints. In early Edo Japan, woodblock art evolved from divine talismans to Ukiyo-e, capturing fleeting joys, geishas, actors, city life, yet still carrying an eerie glow, as if the old spirits lingered. The ink's scent is sharp, and the paper feels warm, almost pulsing, like it remembers its sacred roots. The bizarre legacy? These prints, born in blood-soaked workshops, became Japan's first pop art, yet their haunting aura never fully faded. You stare at the courtesan's eyes, wondering if they hide a deity's gaze. Imagine a modern billboard with a ghost in the pixels, art that's both fleeting and eternal. Dark humour aside, Ukiyo-e's dawn proved humans crave beauty, even with a hint of the uncanny. Share your thoughts. Does this print's allure make you shiver or swoon? You're in a Heian-era Kyoto courtyard 10th century, tracing a paper charm under an Onmyoji's steady gaze, the ink's sharp scent mingling with incense as you draw symbols to bind demons. In Japan's Heian period, Onmyoji wielded Onmyodo, blending Taoist and Shinto magic, crafting talismans believed to repel spirits or curse enemies. The paper hums under your fingers, its lines glowing faintly in the torchlight. Or is that your imagination? The bizarre truth. These fragile charms held sway over emperors, promising protection in a world thick with unseen threats. The air feels electric, as if the charm itself pulses with power, daring you to believe. Picture scribbling a medieval antivirus code, hoping it stops a ghost. Sarcasm aside, these talismans were cosmic weapons, trusted to guard or destroy. Drop a comment. Would you trust this charm to keep the demons at bay? In 11th century Kyoto, an Onmyoji kneels in a darkened shrine, his chants low and rhythmic, claiming to summon spirits that make even emperors tremble. You're there, the air heavy with cedar smoke and dread, as the Onmyoji's voice seems to pull whispers from the shadows. Ghosts, they say, spilling secrets of the dead. In Heian Japan, Onmyoji were feared for their rumoured ability to commune with spirits, influencing court decisions with otherworldly counsel. The bizarre horror. A single whisper could sway a kingdom or doom a rival, as if the dead held court alongside the living. The shrine's silence feels alive, the candles flickering like eyes. Imagine a medieval Zoom call with ghosts deciding your fate. Dark humour aside, these spirit chats were power plays cloaked in mysticism. Share your thoughts. Would you trust an Onmyoji's ghost gossip? You're standing under a starlit Kyoto sky in the 10th century Heian, Japan, as an Onmyoji traces celestial patterns on a scroll claiming to shift the heavens themselves. The air hums with incense and the faint crackle of his charms, each stroke of ink a bid to redirect the stars' paths for the Emperor's favour. In Onmyoji, these diviners were said to wield cosmic power, their rituals tying earthly fates to the sky. Pure hubris or eerie truth, the bizarre catch. A single chant could sway a dynasty or curse a court, as if the stars bowed to paper and will. The night feels alive, the stars too close, their light glinting like they know your name. Picture hacking the cosmos with a medieval GPS, praying it doesn't glitch. Sarcasm aside, these rituals were a gamble to control the uncontrollable. Drop a comment. Would you trust an Onmyoji to rewrite the stars for you? Share your thoughts. Could you endure this chant till dawn? You're in a 10th century Kyoto shrine, the air heavy with incense as Abe no Saime, the legendary Onmyoji, draws a charm that seems to glow under torchlight. In Heian, Japan, Saime was a mythic figure, his yin-yang rituals said to command spirits and sway emperors, his name whispered with awe and fear. You trace a talisman at his side, the ink's sharp scent stinging your nose, and feel the air shift, as if his charms pull shadows closer. The bizarre truth? His rituals, blending Taoist and Shinto magic, made him a court sorcerer, feared for speaking with spirits or cursing foes. The candles flicker, and his gaze feels like it sees through you, maybe beyond you. Picture a medieval wizard running the show with a Ouija board vibe. Sarcasm aside, Saime's shadow loomed large, turning paper into power. Drop a comment. Would you follow this Onmyoji's glowing charms or flee his eerie aura? You stand in an 11th century Kyoto courtyard, stars blazing overhead as an Onmyoji chants, his final ritual a desperate bid to bend the cosmos to his will. In Heian, Japan, Onmyoji, like Abe no Saime, gambled everything on charms and chants, believing they could shift fates or banish demons, their voices echoing like a plea to the universe. The air hums with cedar smoke and power, but the charm in your hand feels heavy. Does it control the stars or mock your hubris? The bizarre legacy. These diviners dared to wrestle with eternity, their rituals a haunting mix of ambition and futility. You feel the night press close, the stars unmoved, yet the chant lingers, a testament to human defiance. Imagine betting your soul on a cosmic app that might crash. Dark humour aside, their gamble left echoes of belief that still haunt. Share your thoughts. Would you chant to change the stars or accept their silence? Alright, you're cosy, right? Fan humming lights dim, maybe a hint of rain tapping your window here in 2025. Let's slip way back before cities or scrolls to a time when humans were just figuring out how to say, "This is me." We're talking jewellery, raw primal, the first spark of human identity. Not gold or glitter, but shells, bones and stones strung together by hands that knew hunger and cold. As you settle in, picture a world lit by firelight, where every bead tells a story. If this vibe's pulling you in, hit that like button, subscribe and drop a comment. Where are you at? 5:07 p.m, Sunday, June 22, 2025. Love knowing who's sharing this journey. Imagine a cave in what's now Morocco 100,000 years ago. The air smells of damp earth and smoke, the ground littered with fish bones. A group huddles near a fire, their faces etched by wind and survival. One of them, maybe a woman with calloused fingers, threads tiny nacreous shells onto sinew, each one pierced with care. These aren't just trinkets, they're a leap, a sign of something new. Those 33 beads found by archaeologists scream, "We're more than just alive." They're necklaces, maybe anklets worn to say I belong or I'm strong or even I'm sacred. No mirrors, no selfies, but these shells are their Instagram shouting identity into the void. Back then, jewellery wasn't about vanity, it was survival's sidekick. Picture a hunter, his breath fogging in the dawn, a necklace of wolf teeth clattering against his chest. Each tooth's a story, a killer risk, a triumph. Or a mother her baby strapped to her back, wearing a string of shells traded from some far-off shore, a nod to her kin or her gods. In burial sites across Europe and Africa, skeletons lie with beads around wrists, necks, ankles carefully placed like a map to the afterlife. Even nomads lugging just what they could carry made time to carve polished paint. You can almost hear the scrape of stone on bone, the quiet focus of crafting something that matters. As you drift towards sleep, think of those first beads glinting in the firelight, proof that humans have always craved meaning. From caves to catwalks, jewellery's been our silent language, identity, belief, beauty. These prehistoric souls with their rough hands and fierce hearts started it all. Rest now, knowing their spark still shines, and we'll keep chasing it through time. Let's glide into the cradle of civilization where rivers carve life into deserts and humans start dreaming big. It's Mesopotamia and Egypt thousands of years ago, where jewellery isn't just adornment, it's power, prayer, and a piece of the divine. The air's thick with dust and incense, the clink of hammers shaping gold. As you sink deeper into your pillow, the fans hum. A steady pulse. Picture these ancient artisans, their hands weaving stories into metal and stone. You with me on this Sunday evening, June 22nd, 2025. Drop a comment with your spot and time. Let's make this a global fireside chat. In Mesopotamia, think Sumer, Akkad, Babylon, the Tigris and Euphrates breathe life into mud brick cities. Here, gold's not just shiny, it's a language of kings and gods. Picture a priestess, her headdress heavy with carnelian and lapis lazuli glinting in a temple's torchlight. Each bead's a prayer, each spiral a nod to eternal life. Women of status wear bracelets, pendants, their graves stuffed with jewels to carry wealth into the afterlife. You can almost smell the cedar oil, hear the rustle of her robes as she moves her jewellery, saying, "I'm chosen by gods and men." Even statues of deities get blinged out, their gold eyes staring into eternity, a reminder that power sparkles. Now swing over to Egypt, where the Nile's a lifeline and gold's the flesh of the gods. Imagine a pharaoh, his broad collar gleaming with turquoise and garnet, each gem picked for its magic. The scarab beetle carved into amulets promises rebirth. The anchor looped like a cross whispers life forever. You can see a child, maybe royal, clutching a protective charm, its eye of Horus warding off evil. Even the dead get decked out. Mummies wrapped in headdresses toe caps their journey to the afterlife paved with bling. Artisans, their fingers nimble, work under flickering lamps, knowing each piece isn't just worn, it's sacred, a spell against chaos. As you drift off, hold this close. In Mesopotamia and Egypt, jewellery was more than status. It was a bridge to the divine, a story etched in gold. These ancient souls with their glittering dreams wove meaning into every bead, a legacy that still catches the light. Sleep well, knowing we're just starting to unravel this shimmering thread through history. Let's sail to the sun-drenched shores of the Mediterranean, where ancient Greece and Rome hum with marble myth and ambition. The air's sharp with olive oil and sea salt, the clatter of sandals on stone paths. Here, jewellery isn't just decoration. It's a declaration of who you are, what you believe, and sometimes who you'll fight for. As you nestle into your cosy spot, the fans hum, weaving a gentle spell this Sunday evening, June 22nd, 2025 at 5:10 p.m. Picture artisans hammering gold under starlit skies. Loving this vibe? Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment. Where are you and what's the clock saying? Let's make this a global campfire. In Greece, beauty's a philosophy and jewellery's its poetry. Imagine a woman in Athens, her hair pinned with a gold wreath shaped like olive leaves, sacred to Athena. It's not just pretty, it's balance, enhancing her natural grace without stealing the show. Earrings dangle with tiny owls, their repoussé work glinting in the agora's bustle. You can almost hear the marketplace chatter, smell roasted figs as she moves her bracelets, etched with scenes of Aphrodite rising from the sea. Gems like carnelian believed to soothe anger, or amethyst guarding against a wild night meaning. Intaglios engraved stones double as seals pressed into wax to sign a deal, tying beauty to power. Now Rome, where opulence rules. Picture a senator's wife, her neck draped in pearls from the Persian Gulf, emeralds from Egypt sparkling on her fingers. Her fibular brooch pinning her stola is a riot of sapphires from Sri Lanka shouting wealth louder than words. Men aren't left out. Think a soldier's signet ring carved with his family crest, or an emperor slipping on a charm of Hercules hidden under his toga for luck. Even kids wear bulle lockets stuffed with amulets to fend off evil spirits. You can see a freed slave, now a citizen, flashing a gold ring, his pride louder than the Colosseum's roar. Jewellery's a biography here, telling tales of conquest, faith, or freedom. As you drift towards sleep, hold this. In Greece and Rome, every bead, every gem was a story, love, loyalty, or a prayer against fate. These ancient souls with their glittering lives made jewellery a language we still speak. Rest easy knowing this thread's still weaving, sparkling through time. Now let's journey east to India and beyond, where jewellery's not just worn, it's a sacred song, a prayer etched in gold and jade. The air's heavy with jasmine and spice the jingle of anklets on dusty paths. From ancient Indus Valley cities to China's silk-draped courts, adornment here is a language of the soul tying body to spirit. As you sink deeper into your pillow, the fans hum a soft mantra. At 5:10 p.m, June 22nd, 2025, picture artisans crafting under flickering lamps. Digging this? Like, subscribe and comment. Where are you vibing from tonight? In India, jewellery's scripture. Imagine a woman in 2500 BCE, her wrist clinking with carnelian bangles, a nose ring glinting in the sun. Gold tied to Lakshmi, goddess of prosperity, isn't just wealth, it's divine armour. You can see her at a wedding, her forehead shimmering with a mangtika believed to wake her sixth chakra. Anklets sing with each step, bangles hum harmony and toe rings whisper marital vows. Men shine too, kings with gem-studded turbans, warriors with talismans blessed for battle. Picture a market, the air thick with curry and chatter, where a bride's dowry glitters, not just as riches, but as her worth, her shield. Every piece from mere jhumkas to necklaces tells of love, fertility, or gods. Swing to China and Southeast Asia, where jade's the star, cool eternal, a slice of immortality. Imagine a scholar, his pendant carved with a lotus, believed to guard his spirit. Dragons curl on nobles' belts, phoenixes dangle from women's hairpins, each stone a prayer for harmony. You can almost hear the clink of jade beads in a temple smell incense curling skyward. From birth to burial, jade's there guiding souls to the next world. Across the East, jewellery is not just bling, it's a vow, a shield, a poem worn close to the heart. As you drift off, hold this in India, and the East jewellery was life itself, sacred, storied, eternal. These artisans, with their deft hands and dreaming hearts, wove a legacy that still sings. Sleep well, knowing this glittering path stretches on its light unbroken. Let's wander from the medieval mists into the dazzle of today, where jewellery evolves from holy relics to personal stories sparkling on every wrist. Picture Europe's candlelit abbeys fading into the glow of Renaissance workshops, then the flash of modern cities. The air shifts from incense to the buzz of electric tools, and adornment becomes a dance of faith, art and identity. As you cozy up at 5:11 p.m, Sunday, June 27th, 2025, the fans hum a soft guide. Let's trace this glittering arc. Loving this hit that, like, button, subscribe and comment where are you and what's the time. Let's make this a global vibe. In medieval Europe, jewellery is a prayer. Imagine a knight, his armour clanking, a cross pendant tucked against his chest. Its relic, a saint's bone whispering protection. Kings wear sapphire crowns, their blue a nod to divine wisdom. Queens pin ruby brooches bold as passion. You can hear the clink of rosary beads, pearls strung tight, each one a plea to heaven. Even peasants knot cords with bone charms, their faith humble but fierce. But then the Renaissance hits like a sunrise. Picture a Florentine goldsmith, his hands steady, crafting a cameo for a merchant's wife. Its carved face a nod to ancient Rome. Gems bloom in symmetrical splendour, enamels glow like stained glass jewellery's now art shouting, sophistication louder than any sermon. Fast forward to the 19th century, where Victoria's England turns jewellery sentimental. Imagine a widow, her black dress rustling a locket of her husband's hair pinned close. Engagement rings catch on diamonds, winking promises. Mass production lets a shop girl afford a tin brooch her own slice of shine. By the 20th century, it's a free-for-all Art Deco's sharp lines, disco's gold chains, punk's safety pins screaming rebellion. Today, jewellery's whatever you make it. Lab-grown diamonds, pride pins, or a bead from your grand's attic. Picture a street market, the air ripe with coffee and chatter, where a teen picks a zodiac pendant claiming their story. It's not just bling, it's you worn loud. As you drift off, hold this from medieval crosses to Instagram trending charms. Jewellery's been our mirror, faith, love, defiance. These makers from monks to TikTok artisans tied us to something bigger. Sleep well, knowing this story's still sparkling, as alive as the pulse under your skin. Now let's dive into a different kind of story, one that hums with mystery and whispers of the ancient world. Picture the shimmering coast of southern Italy near modern Naples, where the sea laps at ruins older than memory. This is Baiai, once Rome's playground of pleasure, now half sunk, its secrets guarded by waves and steam. As you settle in at 5:11 p.m, Sunday, June 27th, 2025, the fans hum, a soothing tide. Imagine a place where emperors partied and myths took root. Digging this vibe? Like, subscribe and drop a comment. Where are you chilling and what's the clock saying? Let's explore this sunken world together. Baiai wasn't just a city. It was a fever dream of luxury built on the restless Campi Flegrae, a volcanic caldera where the earth breathes sulphur and hisses heat. Picture marble villas clinging to cliffs, their mosaics glinting under a relentless sun. The air's thick with wine roses and that metallic tang of hot springs. Emperors like Nero and Caesar had pads here, their parties' legendary think togas. Slipping poets reciting deals struck in steamy bathhouses. You can almost hear the laughter, the clink of goblets as Rome's elite escaped the capital's grind. Seneca called it a vortex of vice, but for those invited it was paradise. Yet Baiai's beauty was its curse. The same volcanic magic that warmed its baths shifted the ground beneath it. Over centuries the sea crept in, swallowing temples, gardens and grand promenades. Today divers swim past marble columns, fish darting through sunken courtyards, the city frozen like a ghost under glass. But one spot stands out, a chamber carved into volcanic rock, half drowned, steaming with legend. They call it the Oracle Tomb, and some say it's no tomb at all, but a gateway to the underworld itself, where the veil between life and death thins to a whisper. As you drift towards sleep, hold this image: Baiai's glittering ruins, half lost to the sea, hiding a chamber that still feels alive. This isn't just history, it's a riddle, a place where myth might still breathe. Rest now knowing we're about to dive deeper, where the stones themselves seem to speak. Let's linger in Baiai, where the sea cradles Rome's lost playground, and the earth hums with secrets. It's the 1960s now, the air sharp with salt and the buzz of discovery, as a quiet man unearths a chamber that whispers of myth. This is the Oracle Tomb, a place where history and mystery collide. As you settle in at 5:14 p.m. Sunday, June 26, 2025, your fans hum a gentle wave. Picture this moment, a tunnel into the past lit by curiosity. Loving this? Like, subscribe and comment. Where are you at and what's the time? Let's dig into this tale together. Picture Robert Paget, not some Indiana Jones, but a British civil engineer with a knack for the ancient. No fame, no fanfare, just a guy with a hunch and a trowel. In the mid-60s, he and his mate Keith Jones, plus a scrappy team of volunteers, start poking around Baiai's ruins near the old Roman baths. The ground's a mess, volcanic soil, tangled roots, but ancient texts and geological maps nudge them on. They find a narrow passage, stone-lined, snaking into the hillside. At first it's just another Roman relic, maybe an aqueduct. But as they crawl deeper, the air shifts cooler, heavier, with a whiff of sulphur that stings the nose. This isn't just a tunnel, it's a stage. The passage twists, the light fades, and benches carved into the rock hint at rituals, people pausing, maybe praying as they descended. You can almost hear their boots scuffing, their breaths quickening. The deeper they go, the weirder it gets. Sudden drops, steamy humidity, and a final chamber half flooded with black water steam curling like ghosts. Paget's pulse must have raced. This wasn't a tomb for bones, but a portal. Maybe the antrim of legend tied to the Cumaean Sibyl Apollo's priestess. It matches Virgil's tales in the Aeneid, a dark path to the underworld, fumes and all. The stones feel alive, like they've been waiting. As you drift off, hold this: Paget's find, scoffed at by stuffy academics, was a crack in time, a glimpse into Rome's wild heart. The Oracle Tomb isn't just a ruin, it's a question daring us to wonder what truths lie buried. Sleep well, knowing we're about to chase those whispers deeper. Now let's step into the haze of Roman myth, where gods and shadows dance and a single voice could shake an empire. We're in Baiai's orbit near Lake Avernus, a volcanic crater the Romans swore was the gate to Hades. Here lives the Cumaean Sibyl Apollo's priestess, her prophecies as potent as the fumes she breathed. As you sink into your pillow at 5:14 p.m. June 22nd, 2025, the fans hum, a mystic chant picture. This woman, her words echoing through time. Vibe with this? Like, subscribe and tell me where are you and what's the clock saying. Let's unravel this legend. Imagine the Sibyl, not some fairy tale oracle, but a flesh and blood seer, her cave near Baiai's steaming cliffs. The air's thick with sulphur birds dropping dead over Avernus's cursed waters. She's old legend says Apollo gave her 1,000 years, but forgot eternal youth, so she's withered her voice a rasp from the earth's depths. You can see her eyes wild, swaying in a trance, volcanic vapours twisting her mind. Her prophecies aren't neat, they're cryptic, terrifying, like riddles carved in smoke. Generals knelt before her poets like Virgil immortalised her, and pilgrims feared her cave where the veil between worlds felt tissue thin. In the Aeneid, Virgil paints her guiding Aeneas into Hades, down a passage hot with fumes shadows pressing close. Picture it a tunnel like Baiai's oracle tomb, its darkness swallowing light, the drip of unseen water loud as a heartbeat. The Sibyl's voice bounces off stone, half human, half divine, promising truths no one's ready for. Was she real? Maybe a priestess? Maybe a myth spun from Baiai's eerie geology? But Romans didn't split hairs, myth was reality. Her cave, where the Baiais or nearby Cumes, was no metaphor. It was a door to the dead where you might hear your fate or lose your nerve. As you drift towards sleep, hold this, the Sibyl's story tied to Baiai's strange stones blurs history and dream. She's not just a figure, she's Rome's pulse. It's fear and awe of what lies beyond. Rest now, knowing this myth still breathes its echo waiting in the tomb's dark heart. Let's plunge deeper into Baiai's oracle tomb, where the earth itself seems to whisper secrets. It's a place carved not just from volcanic rock, but from the Roman mind, designed to pull you from the sunlit world into something darker, stranger. The air's heavy with sulphur and mystery, and every step feels like a ritual. As you settle in at 5:15 p.m, Sunday, June 27th, 2025, your fans hum a steady guide. Picture this tunnel, its stones alive with intent. Digging this vibe? Like, subscribe and drop a comment. Where are you chilling and what's the time? Let's walk this ancient path together. Imagine standing at the tomb's entrance, the sea's salty breath mixing with Baiai's volcanic heat. The passage starts wide, light filtering in, but then it twists sharp, deliberate, cutting you off from the world above. You can feel the walls closing in the air, warming the ground slick with condensation. Benches carved into the rock invite a pause, maybe for prayer, maybe to steel your nerves. This isn't just a tunnel, it's a journey engineered to unsettle. Halfway down, a vertical shaft pumps sulphuric fumes, the earth's own breath stinging your eyes and fogging your mind. You can almost hear the hiss like the gods themselves are exhaling. Then comes the plunge, a narrow staircase dropping to a final chamber half flooded with inky water. Picture torchlight dancing on the ceiling, steam curling from the pool like spirits rising. It's quiet, too quiet, the kind of hush that makes your heart beat loud. Some say this pool mirrors the Styx, the mythic river between life and death. The chamber's no accident. It's a stage built to blur reality and myth. Maybe a priestess hid in an alcove, her voice echoing prophecies, or maybe the fumes alone spun visions. Either way you leave, change the weight of the underworld clinging to you like damp wool. As you drift off, hold this, the oracle tomb's genius isn't its stone, it's the way it reshapes your soul. Let's linger in Baiai's strange glow where Rome's decadence and dread intertwine. The oracle tomb isn't just a ruin, it's a window into a world where myth and reality weren't separate, where a cave could be a god's doorstep. The air hums with the tang of sulphur and the weight of ancient belief. As you sink into your pillow at 5:15 p.m. June 27th, 2025, the fans hum a quiet pulse picture. Romans trembling before this place, their lives shaped by its mystery. Loving this, like, subscribe and tell me where are you and what's the clock saying. Let's unravel this ancient mindset. Picture Baiai in its prime, a glittering escape for Rome's elite. Villas sprawl along cliffs, their mosaics catching the sun while thermal baths bubble with volcanic heat. This is the Campi Flegrae, the burning fields where the ground shifts and steams, and Romans saw the divine in every crack. The oracle tomb tucked near these baths wasn't built for show, it was sacred, maybe forbidden. To Romans, the underworld wasn't a story. It was real, a realm of shades reachable through places like this. You can imagine a senator, his toga crisp, stepping into the tunnel, heart pounding, seeking answers from the Cumean Sibyl or the spirits beyond. The tomb's purpose is murky, maybe a cult's ritual space, maybe a theatre for prophecy. Think of pilgrims, their sandals scuffing stone, descending to face their fears or futures. Virgil's Aeneid describes a similar cave near Lake Avernus, where Aeneas met the Sibyl, her words carried by fumes. The tomb's design, its bends, its heat, its watery end matches that tale too closely to dismiss. Was it built to mimic myth, or did it birth the stories? Either way, it was a machine of awe turning doubt into dread, questions into visions. As you drift off, hold this: the Oracle Tomb wasn't just stone, it was Rome's soul, a place where faith and fear met, leaving echoes we still hear. Let's stand one last time at Baiai's edge, where the sea whispers over sunken marble, and the Oracle Tomb hums with unanswered questions. This isn't just a ruin, it's a riddle carved in stone, a place where Rome's dreams and fears still linger. The air's salty, tinged with sulphur, and the mystery's as thick as the steam. As you cozy up at 5:17 p.m, Sunday, June 22nd, 2025, your fans hum, a soft echo of the tide. Picture this site, quiet but alive. Digging this? Like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Where are you at and what's the time? Let's close this chapter with wonder. Picture the tomb today, its entrance modest, tucked into a hillside, ignored by tourists chasing Pompeii's flashier ruins. Divers glide past Baiai's underwater villas, but few venture here where the tunnel waits damp and still. Those who do feel it, a tightening in the chest, a hush that wraps the senses. The stones worn by time hold their secrets tight, but they speak if you listen. Robert Paget's 1960s find, once mocked by scholars, now draws fresh eyes. With radar and 3D maps, researchers see the tomb's precision, its curves, its heat, its pool, not as chance but as genius. A space built to shift souls, whether through fumes or faith. What makes this place unforgettable isn't just its engineering, it's the why. Was it a cult's hideout, a stage for the Cumean Sibyl's trance, or Rome's attempt to touch the divine picture, a pilgrim, 2,000 years ago, emerging from that dark chamber, eyes wide changed by something they couldn't name? The tomb's legacy isn't answers, it's questions eternal, as the waves lapping Baiai's ruins. It reminds us Romans feared what lay beneath building shrines to tame it, yet craved its truths. As you drift off, hold this: the Oracle Tomb's not just history, it's a mirror reflecting our own ache for meaning, our dance with the unknown. Sleep well, knowing its whisper endures, waiting for those who dare to hear. Now let's shift gears to a modern legend, a story of grit and grace that starts in the heart of struggle. We're in Columbus, Ohio, 1997, where a girl named Simone Biles enters a world that's anything but easy. Her spark, though, is unstoppable, lighting a path from chaos to glory. As you settle in at 5:17 p.m, Sunday, June 27th, 2025, the fans hum a steady beat. Picture a kid whose flips would one day flip the world. Loving this tale? Like, subscribe and comment. Where are you and what's the clock saying? Let's tumble into Simone's story. Imagine a small apartment, the air heavy with uncertainty, where Simone's born to a mom battling addiction. Life's rough foster care bounces her and her siblings through unfamiliar beds, their days a blur of change. You can see a tiny Simone, barely 3, her eyes bright, despite the weight clutching her sister's hand. But love steps in. Her grandparents Ron and Nellie Biles take her in, adopting her and her sister Adria in Houston, Texas. Picture their home, warm with the smell of Nellie's cooking, where Simone finds safety structure and a laugh that fills rooms. To her, Ron and Nellie aren't just guardians, they're mom and dad, her rock. Then one day, a daycare trip changes everything. Picture a gym, the air sharp with chalk dust, where 6-year-old Simone watches gymnasts flip and soar. Her body can't stay still. She mimics them on the sidelines, her cartwheels wild but fierce. A coach spotting that raw fire hands her a note: get this kid in classes. From that moment, gymnastics isn't just play, it's purpose. You can see her small but mighty bounding onto mats, her grin brighter than the gym's lights. Her power's explosive, her balance uncanny, and her joy, it's pure rocket fuel. As you drift off, hold this: Simone Biles, born into storm, found her spark in a gym, flipping pain into possibility. Sleep well, knowing this kid's just getting started. Let's stick with Simone Biles, zooming into the early 2000s in Houston, Texas, where a kid's raw spark ignites into something fierce. The air's thick with gym chalk and the thump of mats, a world where sweat and dreams collide. Simone's not just flipping for fun anymore, she's carving a path to greatness, one tumble at a time. As you settle in at 5:18 p.m, Sunday, June 22nd, 2025, your fans hum a steady rhythm. Picture this tiny dynamo, her grin lighting up the grind. Digging this? Like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Where are you at and what's the vibe tonight? Let's dive into her rise. Imagine Bannon's gymnastics, a buzzing hive of flips and falls where young Simone barely 8 bounds in her ponytail bouncing. She's small, just 4'8" in her teens, but her power's huge like a firecracker in sneakers. Coaches spot it fast, explosive strength, a balance that defies gravity, and that rare air awareness